Time now for the Daily Answer, sponsored by Salem Surround on The Answer Now TV.
Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Senator Eric Schmitt is from Missouri, and I'm so glad to talk to him about rescissions, about AI. But I want to begin, Senator, with a hello. How was your 4th of July?
It was great. It's good to be with you again, Hugh, my friend. It was great. I was with my family back in Missouri. We had bunting all over the house. We had a huge flag on the garage. We had pork steaks and barbecue and bush lights. It was a beautiful, beautiful holiday. So
I'm glad that your backdrop doesn't have any SEC material in it, and I don't care about the Cardinals because they're in the National League, so we can
wait a
go
minute.
forward.
I've got Mizzou back here, then the SEC.
Mizzou's fine. They're not Big Ten. That's like a minor league club. That's Big 12, right? They're not really in the major.
No, they're in the SEC. Where have you been? They've been in the SEC.
Oh, did they join the SEC? Are they the homecoming game? I missed that. Senator,
13 years ago. Where have you been?
Well, they haven't been in the championship, have they? I just want to point that out.
Well, they were in the SEC championship twice, I will have you know. But yes, they've not been in the national. But look out for the Tigers this year. So, but I do have the Cardinals.
I'm from Ohio, Senator. We only care about rings. If it's not a ring, we don't care about it.
Mizzou did beat Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl just a year ago. Just remember.
A Cotton Bowl. All right, we're off topic here. Well, we're off topic. I just got the rundown on the most dangerous cities in the United States. You know that Kansas City is number 9 now? Can you guys get a U.S. attorney in there? Get Tim Garrison out of retirement.
I love Tim Garrison. You know what? When I was AG and he was the U.S. attorney, and then Jeff Jensen was the U.S. attorney, we did something called the Safer Streets Partnership, where we deputized assistant AGs in our office as assistant U.S. attorneys. No one had ever done that before. So when you had like Operation Legend, we had the bandwidth and the capacity to take on violent crime. Tim was great. So.
Well, then go get him out of retirement. He's in a rocking chair somewhere. Go get him out of retirement. Now let me turn to rescission. I just had Ron Johnson on. And Ron says he hopes that there's an appetite in the conference to rescind all the funding for NPR and PBS and CPB, but he wasn't sure. Now, I'm on commercial radio, commercial television. We have to make our way the old-fashioned way. We have to get advertisers and we have to serve them an audience. I really hate NPR and CPB and PBS getting money from the feds that I don't get. Are you going to rescind their funding?
Yes. So that's my legislation. I'll be handling that on the floor next week. So a week from right now, we'll be in the middle of all of that. And it would rescind a lot of this ridiculous, the package that President Trump sent would rescind a lot of the ridiculous USAID funding. It also has the Corporation for Public Broadcasting money in there, which is NPR and PBS. So I'm pretty confident we're going to get there. It's just a lot of this stuff is just insane. I mean, NPR, PBS are incredibly biased. They don't deserve any federal dollars. They can go, raise the rest of it on their own. And then, of course, with the USAID funding, you've got, Sesame Street in Iraq and DEI, in Burma and all this ridiculous transgender ideology that we're spending State Department dollars on across the world. It's really a big, big mission creep. So it's our opportunity. The House has passed it. It's our opportunity because we only need 51 votes, Hugh, on this rescission package to kind of put our stamp. What are our values? And I think the American people expect us to cut out this kind of fraud and abuse.
Now, one of my favorite senators, and I consider her a friend, Susan Collins, likes Maine public broadcasting. I haven't had a chance to lobby her, so I'm going to lobby her through you. If, in fact, it folds up because you pull the funding, you can put it back next year. I don't think it'll fold up. I think people will write checks if they're forced to write checks. But I know that there are other senators who like their own, like KQED in San Francisco. I work for KCET in L.A. Do you find a lot of that just people like their own PBS local affiliates and they don't care about NPR and CPB much?
Yeah, NPR, PBS has a little bit more support than NPR. I think people have written off NPR. The crazy president they have now is just like, Looney Tunes. And so that didn't bode well for them. But PBS, look, it's only 15% of their funding. And so, look, they can, as you mentioned earlier, they can go out and find additional donors. They don't have to cut any of the programming that people like. They can decide to make different decisions. But the truth is, the bias that we've seen even with PBS now is just they just don't deserve any more federal dollars. This is a modern era. There's plenty of places to go get the money. The taxpayers are tired of subsidizing this. I think they want to get out of the broadcasting business.
Amen. You will be a hero if you get that through. Now, Senator, I want to talk to you about AI. When you were the Attorney General of Missouri, you tangled with big tech a lot. Senator Cruz had a provision in the reconciliation to preempt states for 10 years. I was of two minds about it. I really don't know what to do about AI. You've probably studied it at least as much as anyone. What was your point of view on that provision and what we ought to do going forward? Because AI Unbound is really kind of scary.
Well, there's a lot of things happening at one time. And so I think because of what happened last week, we're going to have a little bit more time to drill down. I do think that we are in a great powers competition with China. So you've got the sort of the military aspect of this, and then you have the commercial application of it. Some of it's intertwined, some of it's dual use. But from a military perspective, we simply cannot lose the AI race to China. That is cataclysmic, civilization-defining consequences if we don't have the innovation that's happening here. I think my chief concern, because you sort of hit the nail on the head, when I was AG, we had a bunch of antitrust lawsuits against big tech, but also filed the Missouri versus Biden censorship case where we saw just how involved big tech would be with big government to censor American speech. And so we have to be really, really careful that these big tech companies who've essentially established monopolies to a large degree aren't creating algorithms. So when you ask, Chat GPT, who is Hugh Hewitt, and you get this totally biased point of view like Wikipedia, potentially, and that's what students are learning about. We just want to get the censorship and the bias out of it. And the big concern with the Biden administration, I will tell you, is that he was ready to cut a deal with the big tech players, and then little tech wouldn't have a place at the table where you'd have real competition. And so that's kind of the way I view this thing is I want to have maximum competition among tech companies. I think that will lead to a marketplace where you have real ideas being debated as opposed to kind of what we know will be a left of center, if not completely leftist point of view that dominates.
Now, there's some pretty smart Democrats on this. I heard that. I heard myself say that. There are some pretty smart Democrats on this. One of them is Ro Khanna. Do you sit down with Ro Khanna, or say Chris Coons, who's my favorite Democrat? Do they work with you on this? Because this is not really a partisan issue.
No, I think you're right. I think that AI, which has like many implications of what AI really is, but it's one of those issues that isn't necessarily red jersey and blue jersey yet, which is a good thing. I think this is the kind of thing. Now, when you get to some of this speech and free speech and what's misinformation, who gets to decide, it does break out into teams a little bit more. But I still think as it relates to the competition they're at with China, how we want to be innovative in the United States, what's that AI stack here and how can we beat China in that regard? I think there's a level of bipartisanship that can be a good thing here.
Last question, Senator. Is there any senator who is trying to advance a state interest that is inimical to the national interest here, the sort of dormant commerce clause problem that we run into in law school textbooks? Is there someone trying to screw up AI like California has screwed up car emission standards?
Well, that is part of this debate, right? Because California has a regulatory regime or scheme that will be very different than Missouri's. Now, some of this, the states are the laboratories for democracy, but what we've seen with California, for example, which we had to come in with congressional action to prevent them from doing, they wanted to eliminate the internal combustion engine in like 3 years, which is totally ridiculous. The problem with that, though, is California is a big percentage of the national economy and has impacts beyond just California. So, as you know, one of the reasons the Articles of Confederation failed was that you had states sort of...
We need a national market. Right. Senator Schmitt, good to talk to you. Go Tigers. Get to the Ohio State sometime in the regular season. We'll talk again before then, Senator. Stay tuned, America.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel. Stay informed anytime, anywhere with the Salem News Channel at 9:30 a.m. TheAnswer.com. This has been The Daily Answer, sponsored by Salem Surround on The Answer Now TV.